had another dream Friday, a couple nights ago, and there's this guy out at the airport. He flies a corporate jet for a small company out of northern Wisconsin, and he's really sharp. He's really a wonderful guy. I just love talking to him, and we have a very common aviation background, and I've been meaning to share the new you with him. So, I don't know, about 6 weeks ago, I made some copies of on a thumb drive of your wake up call number 1 and your 34-page one about the knowledge, the secret knowledge, and I think I had new book 1 on there. Well, anyway, I gave him a copy of that, and then about a little over a week ago, he happened to come in just as I was arriving at work, and I had a copy of New Book 2 that I gave him, and he was kind of in a hurry, and I said, well, here, read this, and I said, it's all about awareness, and that was a little over a week ago. And then Friday morning, I had a dream, and I was at my mom's house, and what was unique about my mom's house was I had a bedroom on the back side of the house where the driveway came up right past my bedroom window, and there was a place to park out in back behind the house. And I dreamed I was sitting in my bedroom late at night when this pilot flew he had his corporate jet, and he flew in and he taxied his corporate jet into the driveway and went right past my window. And I waved to him, and he waved back as he was taxiing by my bedroom window. And he went around and back, and I went to turn on the porch light for out and back, and the light was already on. And then I woke up from that dream. So I'm wondering if that was just an indication that my friend, his name is Brent, and I'm just wondering if that he's actually doing the new you, and I actually saw him on the real side, and he's actually having some experiences.
Yeah, it's very simple. So he did a flyby, didn't he?
Well, he actually drove by. He taxied by.
Close enough. But yeah, and he waved. So again, what is a wave? It's confirmation, isn't it? It's all. It's I see little kids at the beach. I don't say anything to them lots of times because they're with their parents or whatever, and things are funny. But what I do is when their parents aren't looking, I wave to them, and they'll wave back. So it's like that. All that setup is a confirmation. So it's a step. All right. So it's a step on the real side. He's been introduced to it. He acknowledges it. And, then you'll see from there, because, again, you'll see how the personal side comes in to this physical, which is very important. So the recognition goes all the way through. Because, again, this is why it is very important here, because this is why we have all these 5 bodies, to get it into the physical at some point. Yes, you can get it anywhere, but will you, will your attention be there? Take some attention. So again, the physical is very interesting. So you know this fellow, you'll see how far it goes. So you've given him the book. I would simply suggest you let him approach you, you see, and don't be too pushy about it, because, now it's his free will to decide, and however that goes, you respect his free will.
Yeah, the ball's in his court, so I'm letting him take it from there.
Yeah, I've done that with my neighbors and stuff too, and given them the new you and things like that. One of my neighbors read the book, and etc. And then after that, I just let it be until they bring something up to tie into it. But I don't try and sell people anymore, because again, they decide their direction, right or wrong or whatever, just like us in the world here, we're big out there letting people know, but at the same time, we don't direct their free will. That's very interesting how that works, because that free will and them deciding, you see, when you're deciding for them, that's one thing, like our parents basically decided for us. And, as they did, this is where the rebellion comes in as we get older, because again, that's a confusion to us. That's why everything is so distorted here, because for the most part, most people are thinking that they're free thinkers, but most things are decided for them. And this is where the distortion comes in. And this is where kids at a certain age, they get frustrated because they want to decide for themselves, because through that deciding and through that free will, it becomes their recognition, and they can't, you see, this is where the savior idea and all this other stuff is nonsense. They can't figure it out totally until they have the free will to do so, and cannot be decided by others. See?
Yeah, I'm getting it.
Yeah, excellent. Go ahead.
Well, then I have another dream that I really do not understand. And I dreamed that this guy wanted somebody to fly a Cessna 150. You know what that is? A small two-place Cessna, like one I used to own. And they wanted me to fly this on a long trip with two Baxters and some lights. And I have no idea what Baxters are, and I don't know what the lights would have been about. I have no clue what a Baxter is.
Well, again, just give it time. It's like as we have these experiences, just like we watch movies. We can watch a movie every night, or sometimes the movie's too long and we don't finish it. I know lots of times I don't really sit and watch whole movies anymore, very seldom, because it really, in a way, kind of drains me. So I watch segments of it, but what you're getting there is things are being set up. It's kind of like building a house. It's not just built. First they're going to come out there and start plowing the ground, and then the next day or the next week they start framing for the slab. You see, you're seeing this in sections. So, what you need to know as you are willing to go along with this, you'll be shown. So, you might say you're in the first part of the movie and you can't figure things out yet. So we all go through that.
I had another dream, and this was kind of interesting. I was kind of like in a rural area with a street and some, fields and fence posts. And I was a few friends, and we were just kind of running along, and, maybe 4 or 5 friends. And we had just we just had jumped over a fence, a wooden fence type of thing, and we were celebrating, and we were very joyful because we had just gotten past a major obstacle, and we were free. I don't know what the obstacle was, but whatever it was, we were just very thankful, and we were excited that we got past this obstacle and we were free. It was a done deal. So that was my dream from yesterday morning.
Well, again, it's a confirmation, isn't it? And so, Claudia and I go over a lot of experiences with what we're doing with the Orions and the Syrians, because this is very important to this planet, because they were the original invaders here, the Orions, and doing a lot of funny stuff, and we have to deal with it. But you have a conclusion there. Now it can be something that you did complete, but on a particular position, or it's something that is possible for you. So this is where you kind of look at it. In other words, just like blueprints for a building or a house, when you're looking at the blueprints, the building isn't built yet. but you have the blueprints and you see it's possible. You see what I'm saying? So again, life is showing you always, many times, what is possible. Okay, so but again, you look at the experience. It can go either way. It's something you've completed, but then here is the physical part of it. You've completed it there, just like the vessels are completed on the real side, but they're not here yet. You see, they're not completed here yet. So, when you look at these experiences, you will subtly gain insight through them, first intuitively, and then little by little, as you go along, you'll start to recognize how that kind of ties in with everything. So, yeah, it's along those lines, Bob.
This morning, I dreamed I was at an airport fly-in and staying overnight with my grandfather. The second time I've seen my grandfather at all. I've never seen him in my dreams. I saw him a few days ago, and I saw him this morning in a dream, and that's the only time I've ever seen my grandfather. And the interesting thing about my grandfather was the last thing I spoke to with my grandfather was he was in one of those churches I was in, and he was 96 years old, and he fell down, broke his hip, and he was kind of laid up, and the last thing I said to him, just a few days before he died of old age, and he died in his sleep, and I asked him, well, what do you think about this religion? And my grandfather said, I'm having experiences that I can't even discuss with you. You wouldn't even understand what I'm talking about. And I said, does it have to do with these churches? And he said, no, it's completely beyond what these churches were teaching. And then a couple of days later, he died. But all of a sudden, he's back in my dreams. He was just really a wonderful person. So what does that mean?
Well, it's not always that it means something, but again, it's like you meeting someone on the street. What does that mean? This was a relationship you had, so you'll see, and he's telling you that he's having certain experiences, so maybe he's coming back to share them with you.
He died around 1985. It was a long time ago.
That's quite a while, but that's, actually it's all now. So the thing is that whenever it's time for things to whatever, or it's one of the boys, disguised as that, because again, I'm just going off what you're saying and your experience, because your experiences are your own. And so again, you see things a particular way, you're experiencing things a particular way. So, when you look past, so you see the experience, and then also you look past the experience, what's supporting that experience. In other words, when you see a person, okay, you see them, you think, oh, they're nice, they talk nice, they dress nice, whatever. But when you see past that, you learn to see their intent. So again, learning to see the intent of the individual, why is he there, etc., and what's the experience about. So look at that part of it, not just personally what's going on, but then you kind of bring all that together. So again, this is a relationship that you've had, and I would say what he experienced, he's got something there to share with you, and he's probably seeing if you're ready to listen or whatever. You know best.
Oh, how neat.
Well, there's that movie, and I'm assuming you saw it, What Dreams May Come, with Robin Williams.
Mm-hmm. No, I never did see that one.
Well, you've missed a lot, because you should see it. So, in the experience, finally, Robin passes over, and there's a lot more to the story, but then he meets this person in the astral worlds, but he doesn't recognize that it's his son. You see, he because his son appears as someone else, because intently the dad had an attitude about this other kid that his son knew. And so, but anyhow, see the movie. It's very, very good. It's very, very eye-opening. Saw it in, I don't know, 2000 or something, whenever it came out. I forget, but it's very, very good. But and it gives you these views. So again, it's seeing. You have the visual and the personal experience. So this is why most people can't understand what's going on in their dreams or whatever, because and a lot of times it is personal, because basically it is. But at the same time, you have your awareness there of the bigger picture life is, instead of just a personal thing. But the personal self always tries to draw everything to itself. You see, it's me, me, me. It's me, me, me. It's mine. And so when you start to be objective about all that, this is where the boys come in, and they start to give you experiences objectively about your personal self. In other words, there's a bigger part of you. That's the real you, you see. And then when the real you becomes more aware, then it's up to the real you to deal with the personal self. Now it's the two of you, okay, back and forth, you might say, to a point where you become self-sufficient, you see?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting, isn't it? So again, here's a relationship, and it can be many ways. It's not just, oh, it's this. No, there's many angles on it. Again, like the old saying, a picture is worth 1,000 words. There's 1,000 ways to look at this, but there's a basic idea there. But again, for me, I just look at the relationship with the whole of life. That comes in first, not me. Okay, it's not about me so much. There's that personal part there, yes, but it's a smaller part. There's a bigger part there, and so seeing that, you see. So again, this is where the individual decides at some point to get out of his routines and to be the same, to just agree to everything that has been, etc. But again, it's your experience. You decide. You decide how you want to see it also. And your relationship with anything, just like your marriage. You decide how that relationship is going to be. Sure, you can play the role of, oh, I'm the nice guy and I'll just be nice. Well, you can play that role. You can do whatever you want, right?
Well, I had one last dream this morning, and in this dream, I remember being at the University of Illinois, where I signed up for 3 classes. But in the end, I decided to drop a real hard math one. It was an engineering course with a lot of math in it that I wasn't really sure of. So I went to the professor and asked him if I would have to be deriving dual and triple partial differential equations, deriving answers using, dual and triple partial differential equations. And I told him I had studied differential equations back when I was in college in 1972, but I'd forgotten a lot of it. And I didn't think I'd have time to bone up on all that stuff, because it's pretty hard unless you're up on it. And I said I could do just fine if you just gave me the theory and the principles and all that. I can understand all the principles, but to do the mechanics of actually deriving the answers using the triple partial differential equations, it was just a little bit over my head. So I told him I probably couldn't handle that, so I'd have to drop the class. And I told him that I just had a recent experience about a car going supersonic over a hill. A bunch of cars were traveling at supersonic speeds along a highway, and I understood the physics and dynamics of all that. And I was telling the professor that, and I got that part of it, but I just couldn't do the formulas. And then the professor told me to talk to the lady professor that was actually teaching the class, and the professor said she had a beautiful airplane in the basement of the engineering building. And then I woke up from the dream.
Well, it's things are a little bit tough at times, aren't they?
Yeah, everybody's be laughing.
Well, I get it. You know, it's I've gone through many confrontations with the boys where I wasn't ready. You know, and it's understandable because it's a lot. You can only do so much, etc. And so everything has to be prepared to. So something along those lines. You know, you're talking about differentials. In other words, something different, indifferent, differences, etc. And so, in a way, you might be saying that, okay, I see things a certain way, but I'm not ready to see things differently or whatever. You see, those are the equations to recognize, right? So just like when the formula is written on the board, do you recognize the formula? It's a recognition, isn't it? So I suggest just kind of look at it that way and see what kind of comes from it. And then you can redecide. You can always redecide, even though you've had the experience there. At that point, it's like, whoa, I don't know if I can do this or not. But as you come back here and you objectively look at it, you can redecide to move forward with it, whatever you see with it, you see. So, and then there's a hint to the professor is saying something in the basement. Okay, well, that's the earth. The basement is ground floor. That's where we are here. We're in the basement. See, so look at that references. Look at those references. It's you deciding something. Yeah, it's you deciding something. So you're always the decider.
I've had a lot of dreams in the last couple of years where I'm at a university and I'm going up to take a test and I horribly flunked the test. I can't tell you how many times I flunked the test. It was so aggravating. But you know how you feel when you flunk a test, or didn't even know enough to. You didn't even know enough to even begin to answer the questions on the test. But this is a big step up from that, So I have to say it's a big improvement.
Well, you decide how far you want to go. And so, again, the university level. So we have school, we have colleges, and then eventually universities. So, again, this is where I've created the Nations United Universal University. So this implies, and you're being prepared for all this, you see? And so when you come back here, and it's not about failing the test so much. The failing of the test is really, just like when you're taking a test, you're not really able to see the answers, right? Mm-hmm. That's really what the test is about. You're not really able to see the answers, right? That's what it's about. It's not a test in your mind. It's like, oh, if I pass, I get an A or that. It's not about that. It's about recognition, see? So at those times and what you're going through, you're going through it, you're persistent, but you're still not recognizing it. But as you keep going, little by little, you will. See, it's all about recognition, but in your mind, you're thinking, oh, it's a test and I failed. It's not about that. It's about recognition. Just like when you were in school, when you were little, learning the ABCs, eventually, as you kept repeating and repeating, you could go tell your mommy, oh, mommy, I don't know how to spell. I don't know how to read. But eventually, as you keep doing it, all of a sudden you put it together, you recognize how to do it, right? So look at it from that angle, you see, instead of your mind.
And I do plan to pass that course, by the way. I'm going to bone up on that, and I'm going to pass it and understand it. So that's my intent.